All right. So a very warm good morning or good afternoon, depending upon the time zone you are in. My name is Kuldeep. I'm the senior strategist at Enalito. We are a technology company working in the field of machine learning, artificial intelligence, and to solve critical problems in the field of retail, e-commerce by understanding data. Data is the new oil, as they say. And by taking a data-driven approach, great things can be done for the end consumers. That's what we believe in. And I'm really excited because today we have two amazing entrepreneurs with us who are going to share their stories. And it's a women panel. So they are going to share a lot about how they have started their business, how they're taking it to the next level. Without further ado, let me make a formal introduction of our panelists. First, we have on the panel is Alyssa Adams. Alyssa is the co-founder and president at Cabana Life, based out of Dallas, Texas. And Alyssa has been an entrepreneur with 25 years of history of developing and growing the lifestyle brands in the digital and retail worlds. And her current brand uh, is built an internationally distributed luxury lifestyle collection with a unique point of differentiation through styling and UPF 50 plus. Alisa, welcome to the panel. We are going to touch upon that particular thing, UPF 50 plus. I so Thank you so much for joining in today.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Next we have on the panel is Lainie Strouse. Lainie is the Vice President and Development events at F Cancer, which is a nonprofit organization based out of LA. Lainie is an experienced and highly accomplished transformational leader, and she has worked on all aspects of brand building, strategy, public speaking, sponsorship, and she is doing phenomenal work in this field of retail and e-commerce. And she has proven track record of building successful strategy, increasing brand awareness, and generating incremental business and creating new and innovative revenue stream. And Lainie has studied from University of Miami. Lainie, thank you so much for joining in today.
Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. My next question for you, both of you, actually, is your business and you. What's the purpose? Like, why did you start it, or why are you doing it this only? I mean, what's the purpose? I would like to know what helped you, or what you are thinking when you launch these brands, and what problems are you trying to solve? Let me go to Alisa first.
Start.
I wasn't sure if you want to. Sure. So, we launched Cabana Life. I did so with my business partner 15 years ago in an effort to educate everybody about sun safety, but to provide a stylish solution.
Yeah.
And the idea of Cabana Life had come through the fact that my business partner, Melissa, we're Alyssa and Melissa, she was diagnosed with skin cancer at 26. And when she was told to go out there and wear some protective clothing, there was nothing that she really wanted to wear. I was working with her at the time at Vanity Fair magazine, and we were working with a whole host of fashion and lifestyle brands. And she came to me and talked to me about her idea. Unfortunately, at the time, I had my mother-in-law and my grandmother both had skin cancer and have unfortunately passed away from it since then. So the importance really rang true in my heart. At that time, my mother-in-law kept saying to me, when you put your kids out there in the sun, please, please always think about sunscreen. I was a lifeguard growing up. I unfortunately did not at all. But it had become abundantly clear to me that this was something that we could go out there, talk to the media where we had connections about, and it was a growing problem and something we could prevent, much like lung cancer with smoking. And so 15 years ago, we kind of started on our way, not knowing a ton about either clothing or starting a business or how to make it sun protective. But in the entrepreneurial spirit, we figured that out. We figured out as quickly as we possibly could. Of course, making some mistakes along the way, like everybody does, and launched what now is a lifestyle brand. And we have customers come to us for two different reasons. Some now come to us because they love our prints, they love the overall beach club chic aesthetic of it, and then bonus, it has sun protection in it. But then we have another set of customers that come to us for our original intention, which was they're looking for sun protection, and bonus, it's stylish. So we really are excited to have both sides of the customers, and want to continue to talk about sun protection. And it is part of every single thing we do. Every single piece has 50+ UV protection in it, which is the highest rating given to clothing.
That's pretty amazing, Alyssa. So something that, I mean, you're trying to solve a very important problem, and something which is like very close to your heart. I mean, something that stems from your very personal emotions. And when you put that into your venture, great things can happen. And I think that problem allowed you to kind of look at that bigger picture, that, okay, this has happened with my family, but what I can do to kind of help others. And that's a great gesture. And I must say, because I think there are a lot of problems that we are facing healthcare wise. I mean, though we are at the cusp where healthcare has evolved so much. I mean, pharma and technology has evolved so much. I think these healthcare problems can be solved with all these things, which are really, really important. But someone has to take a step. And I think you did the most amazing thing. Thank you so much for doing that. And I think because cancer is something that the entire world is fighting really, really hard. And I think what we always say, prevention is better than cure. So I think what you're doing is something on that similar line, I believe. So amazing. I'm really happy that this is the background behind it, and amazed to have you. Thank you so much for sharing that. We'll touch on certain aspects of it on the product side of things going forward. Let me quickly introduce, I think, one of our fellow panelists today again is we have Stephen Curlew. Hi, Stephen. Thank you so much for joining in. Stephen is
Sorry, I was late.
That's perfectly okay. Stephen is the Chief Marketing Officer at BetterBody Foods, and based out of Utah, and he has 10+ years of experience in marketing strategy and leadership. And their brand believes in better life starts with better food, and that's why they have built their products with the best ingredients that can provide better food choices to consumers. Stephen, thank you so much for joining it today, and welcome to the panel. I was just chatting with Alisa about her brand's purpose, and we'll come to you as well to learn about your brand's purpose. Let me quickly go to Lainie. Lainie, why don't you share your story as well about how did you start, and what's the purpose?
Well, I'll try to make it quick. It's a long story. But I definitely want to talk to Alisa more about what she's doing, because skin cancer is part of, the work that we do as well, because it's the fastest growing cancer and something that hasn't really been talked about as much. And what she's doing would really work well with a lot of what we do. So I started out in the entertainment industry. I was a producer and an actor. I used to be on General Hospital and various shows. But for me, I've always had the business side of everything I do. And I was always, I always had to kind of keep myself in a place where I had my business going. And then I also had what I considered sort of my art, which is also business. But so I had always been producing, and it started working on major live events, film festivals, and events for everything from New Year's Eve major shows, and working with a lot of celebrities. And that kind of parlayed. And I said one day, I'd really love to do what I do and do it for children. And 2 days later, I got a phone call from a recruiter at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And I ended up running the Western region for 5 years with them in the nonprofit space. So a lot of times people think the nonprofit space is so different than sort of businesses. And ultimately, in order to be successful in a nonprofit, you have to think about almost the donors in the way that you would think of a customer, right? They
Mm.
have to, you have to take care of that customer, which would be a
Yeah.
donor. And even more so, they have to believe in your cause, and you have to reach them in a way that touches them and they relate to it.
Yes.
So it's just, it's a different type of situation, and not to minimize obviously the heart of it, but because what we do comes from the heart, and working on any cause it has to be something you truly believe in to be successful. So as Alisa said, I lost my father to colon cancer. I've had family members who've had breast cancer, skin cancer. My father also had skin cancer. So cancer is something, unfortunately, that touches most of us in some capacity, whether it's a friend, family member.
Yeah.
And it's just something that 50% of cancers are preventable. So to do something that we can do to assist a large part of the population to prevent, first of all, getting skin cancer, which is the best cure. If we can help you not get it in the first place, and educate you about lifestyles, behaviors, and things that you don't have to get it in the first place, that's great. Obviously some cancers aren't through behavior and lifestyle, but if there's things we can teach you, things we can help you to understand, whether it's skin cancer. Most people don't apply sunscreen appropriately or correctly. They throw on a very thin layer at 7 a.m. and they're out all day. And if you are someone who's out doing sports or golf or swimming, it's you do have to know how to do it and reapply. And there's a lot of things that the average person does not know, and they're not given the tools to protect themselves. So a huge part of what we want to do is educate and prevent cancer in the first place. Then there's the how do we talk about it? How do we support people who actually have cancer and the caregivers that support them? So the whole reason behind creating a brand around this is obviously to help people first, right?
Yeah.
So we have to reach them in a way that is engaging. And with F cancer, we want to make sure that we're talking about it in a way that is reaching youth,
Mm-hmm.
that we're reaching people. And surprisingly, we have a lot of parents and even older people, because when it comes to cancer, the F word might be considered a curse word in some places, but to us it's actually cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So when my father would go to chemo treatments, he wore his shirt that said F cancer on it, and people would cheer for him when he would get off the elevator. And there's something about it that's empowering,
Yeah.
that makes people want to scream it. And if you're going through it, or you have someone you love going through it, that's sort of the sentiment you feel. And so it actually was launched with that in mind. One of our founders, Yale Braun, her mother had breast cancer, and thank goodness is a survivor, but she created that shirt, and that's kind of what launched this movement for her own mother. And her mother would wear it, and people would walk up to her and literally hug her on the street.
Wow.
So it just became this kind of rallying cry for anyone living with it, going through it, or lost someone who loved it. It's something that you want to shout from the rooftops, and people just connected with that. And it does come from a heart place.
Wow.
So I think when you're talking about coming from a nonprofit, or even with a brand like BetterBody Foods that he'll speak about, obviously things like that, anything that's coming from a place of wellness, health, nonprofits where we're asking people to support a cause and a movement, we want people to connect with it. And
Yes.
we have to do our due diligence and our job, and see how do we reach these people who are going through it, or may go through it, because 1 in 5 people will get skin cancer. So
Mm.
it's just a situation where these topics affect the entire world.
Yeah.
And
That's amazing.
how do we reach someone without, not about the fear of it, but
Mm.
empowering them to do something, and to protect themselves and to help themselves, whether it's lifestyle. Food is obviously a big part about what we do, educating people on lifestyle, how they treat their bodies, health, nutrition, exercise, obviously smoking, sunscreen, all these things that we can do to better able support the body and our lives to be, to be healthier regardless
Mhm.
of disease.
Wow,
So
that's
that's kind of
amazing.
the heart.
That's amazing, Lainie. I think that's it's a very, very strong purpose that you have, and I think you are on a mission, I think. because what you have
Definitely.
undertaken, it's like a big
Definitely on
mission.
a mission.
Yeah, because most of the time, everyone thinks that they know everything, and as you mentioned it rightly, not everyone will be knowing about cancer the way you, because you have research, you have spent so much time in it, and that's when you have all the right things to share about.
Yeah.
And very often it's kind of ignored. I think all this information gets kind of lost somewhere, maybe because people have their own
Yeah.
world that they're living in, and most of the time they kind of ignore all this important information, and like life and like the wellness products and the whole wellness space is extremely important to kind of prevent all these things from happening. So amazing, more power to you. Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you.
amazing. Let's go to quickly to Stephen also, and I think let him share his story about his brand. Hey, Stephen, would you like to touch upon your brand's purpose?
Yeah, sure. Hi. Firstly, kudos to both of you for the great work that you're doing. My sister passed away of cancer just a couple of years ago of brain cancer, and that was a really tough time for, thank you, for my family. And so, yeah, firstly, really something that I hold dear to my heart, and we've worked with various different cancer charities um, over the past few years. And so my name is Stephen Curlew. I'm from the UK, as you might be able to tell from my accent. I moved over to the States a couple of years ago. I'm working for BetterBody Foods. Prior to me moving over, I was consulting for the brand for 3 years or so, helping them launch on the internet, essentially. And we have various different brands that you might be aware of. We've got PB Fit peanut butter powder. We've got Oatsum oat milk, Plant Junkie, dips, dressings, sauces, plant-based. Basically, we're kind of a better for you product, food company that produces delicious and nutritious foods, alternatives to the foods that we eat on a regular basis, like milks and sugars and sweeteners and peanut butters. And we do coconut sugar, avocado oil, monk fruit, etc. So, and we have various number one bestsellers both on the internet and across grocery in the US.
Wow.
We're the number one best-selling peanut butter product on Amazon, for example, better than Jif and Skippy. We are the best-selling avocado oil in the country, best-selling coconut flour in the country, best-selling coconut sugar. Probably the best known. Probably the most popular unknown brand in the country as BetterBody Foods.
Wow.
Most people have product of ours in the pantry, and my job is to try and raise the awareness and educate customers, increase consumption opportunities and usage occasions, etc. So that people don't buy our products such as coconut flour and try it once and try to do a one-to-one replacement for flour, make a pizza base, and it tastes terrible and never use the product again. So it's in the pantry for kind of 2-3 years, which I've done. And so we have a corporate chef, we have recipe content creation being produced every single week. We've got recipe books, we've got influencer content, we've got digital marketing. So most of our marketing efforts are focused on consumption and conversion in terms of both sales and usage occasions.
Wow. Amazing.
And that's about all we do, really.
Wow. So you're in a very, very interesting space, food. I think everything starts with it, and I think I noticed on your store, like, you have a lot of organic food products, and that's really, really important aspect. I mean, the way the whole entire industry is moving from inorganic to organic, I think there's a huge shift that's happening, and consumer adoption is also happening. So you're in a very amazing space. Thank you so much for sharing that insight, Stephen. Now, my next question for all of you is around you know your products really well, and it's solving a very important problem. And what are some of the consumer engagement strategies that you have taken in order to, or adopted in order to kind of acquire customers? I mean, definitely you already have a huge early adopters, but in order to acquire your next set of customers, what are some of the engagement strategies you are planning or that in the next few years? Alisa?
Sure. Well, there's numerous ways. One, we pay our paid social or pay our
Mhm.
paid advertising. We were fortunate. We always partnered with an agency, but it became such a big part of our business that we brought it all in house.
Mhm.
And so that has allowed us to really have our content people work with our digital director to take the data, put out there what we want to, see what's working, revisit, and everything like that. So we've been very nimble
Yeah.
in our ad approach. If something's converting, great, we leave it. We have our best-selling dress. It has been selling. It has been our number one selling dress for a year. We never keep anything around for a year, but we just keep, moving on it, and our ads are really, it's pulling our customers in.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of our new customer acquisition strategy. We also have an influencer. We work with a ton of influencers. What we have found is that it's a little bit of the Wild West when working with influencers. There's not really a playbook for it, but that's okay because we're entrepreneurs and we come up with our own playbook
Yeah.
and do what feels like it makes sense for us and the influencer. I have a lot of respect for them, having come from the magazine world. They're kind of building their own brand and their own circulation and their own following. And so we work with people that really care a lot about the brand. We're not just a fashion brand, there's a mission. And we want influencers that are going to continue to talk about it. We're not a one post and done brand. And one of the things that we've learned is we're really kind of working on longer term agreements with our influencers. That one post or one, story out there, it just doesn't create the brand loyalty we want across the board. So I would say those are two strategies. The other thing that we're really working on, we are sold in stores when we launched, but also obviously online. And when we first launched, we had our stores kind of ask us, which seems crazy right now, are you going to have an e-com store too? And they were always so scared we were going to compete with them. This is 15 years ago. Obviously, that has all changed. But what we are trying to do is bring some of our e-com learnings to our retailers and help them, especially during COVID, when so many had to close their doors. They are very valuable partners for us. They offer Cabana Life, but they only offer a limited amount of Cabana Life. They buy what works for their store. So, that's another new customer acquisition. If somebody likes a brand by buying it in the store, then they come onto our website. So we really look at working together with them to further the brand rather than against each other.
Wow.
So those are a couple of the new, customer acquisition. Oh, but what I was saying is that some of our customers, and it feels a little odd being the e-commerce game, is that when COVID hit, there's still a lot of people that are not used to shopping online. And we had a ton of loyal customers that were used to going into a store, trying it on, buying it, fitting in the store. So what we are doing is bringing that in-store experience to our e-com customers. We are going to do live, our customer service person will be working with them, have some live fittings. We have some fit technology we're about to launch so they can see how it would fit based on their measurements, but also kind of recommendations. This is what you're looking for, and we will be able to have our customer service kind of have this one-on-one shopping experience. And I think that will really help with brand loyalty and new customer acquisition, especially for those that are still not yet comfortable shopping online.
That's amazing. That's a very thoughtful approach, paid marketing and complementing it with an influencer strategy, along with making sure that your consumers are getting the right products. I mean, by working with them, definitely it's a big turning point. It's a paradigm shift that we observed that people were not used to buying online. I mean, people go offline and then buy. And I think typically apparel decisions mostly are taken in an offline store where people would like to try it on and then buy. But because of the way situation is, I think e-commerce is the way going forward. And I think technology is evolving. So it's just a matter of kind of integrating such technologies into your online store that allows consumers to try it on virtually and get it what they're looking for. Excellent approach, Alyssa, I must say. Let me go to Lainie.
Thank
And
you.
Lainie, what are your thoughts? I mean, you also have a very good e-commerce store presence. What are some of the things that you are doing to kind of uh, promote your store or take it to the next level to your target audience?
Uh, well, as Alisa was saying, with COVID and things that have happened, we've obviously have to adapt and be nimble to what we're doing and how we do it.
Yeah.
Initially, we had a huge in-person event kind of relationship with different age groups. We had college tours where we would go across the country to
Mm.
have different groups at colleges that we would engage, because getting people young into positive lifestyles to prevent cancer is really huge. And we're a brand that relates to the youth. So because they think we're kind of, we're not trying to be everyone else. We're not trying to be, what's already there. There's millions and millions of dollars and billions of dollars spent on research, which we obviously support. What we're looking to do is kind of fill in the gaps where other organizations don't touch, which
Mhm.
is, really focusing on prevention, education, things you can do to prevent it, and also to support you psychosocially. We have a patient care line, which is free, that you can apply to. So if you have cancer, you're going through it, we will literally assign you a patient navigator, which is free on our site. So it's a care line that's staffed with somebody to help you and guide you. Everyone thinks they know about cancer, and then God forbid, knock on wood, this never happens. But if when you get that diagnosis, it's a shock to the system. And if it's something serious where you have to go straight into surgery or, immediate action, everyone I know who's had it, I just had another friend that just was diagnosed with breast cancer, and there's a shock that happens, and you don't know what to do. You don't know what questions to ask the doctor. You don't know where to go, what to do. And you kind of are in the hands of that doctor and their skill and their sort of decision making. And a lot of it is really in that moment you're asked to make life and death decisions, and without necessarily having really the time to think it through. I mean, hopefully you catch it early enough that you can have a moment to decide. But personally, my father found out when he had stage 3, and he did everything right. He got his tests, he did all these things that he was supposed to do, and they basically rushed him into surgery. And so your head's spinning. So we want to provide people with the tools to help them. Here's how you can help yourself financially. Here's grants, here's resources that are free for you. Here's questions that you should ask your doctor. Here's, a schedule. We also work with Stand With, which is an app where, if your family and friends want to help you, when they go, I want to help you, and you go, I don't know what I need, I don't even know what to do. And instead of getting, 10 dinners sent to you on Monday, when you don't even know what to do with it, you can have people sign up to actually, if you need a ride to your treatment,
Yeah.
you can have people sign up in a schedule to actually support and help you with the help that you actually need.
Wow.
Here are products and, pillows and things that, will actually help you if you're going through chemo and your back hurts, or, these are things you can do to help yourself, like real tangible knowledge and help. But
Wow.
also, we have obviously our e-commerce side where we've got our merchandising, t-shirts, things that people can do to support, which was in sort of the event space. We would do events with influencers and, musicians who would do like a little concert, and your ticket to get in would be our t-shirt.
Mhm.
So people would buy the t-shirt, people would buy a ticket, and they would wear the t-shirt. So we would have thousands of people, 2,000 people at an event, all wearing our brand and our t-shirt. So every photo of the event that they would post online, that they would take in front of the red carpet, would have our brand on it.
Mhm.
And they would organically post that on their own pages and share those.
Wow.
So that was a great help to us in terms of spreading awareness, but also it's an opportunity for brands that want to sponsor or, partners. We can put their logos on the shirt. and that helps us and helps the brand to partner. So we're always looking for ways to organically partner with brands to help support brands that match what we're doing.
Right.
And obviously we have influencers online, but with COVID, we had to shift. We had to see what do our people need the most. So we were adding programs where we're delivering food to food sensitive people who have cancer. How does COVID affect people with cancer? We have to learn about those things and educate our community. Is the vaccine good for somebody who has cancer? We have to know that. We have to educate ourselves and provide those resources to people. Because immune compromised people, obviously it's harder for them to go to the store. How do they get, those things? So we were working with other organizations. We're always open to working with other organizations, but we will raise money and provide to Angel Food, to God Food They Deliver, to try to get food to people who need it. So we always have to be nimble and adapt to what's happening in the world. What do people need? And how do we support them? So we have the care line, we have our e-commerce site if people want. I just did a partnership with Custom Ink to do an early detection campaign. We try to get in front of, each month has a different cancer that is kind of that month, and breast cancer awareness is in October, skin cancer in May. We want to be able to address all those different issues and all the different needs that each different cancer has, because there's different risks. And something that's obviously been, we've been on the forefront of this, but health disparities in healthcare,
Wow.
that's been something that is not been talked about enough, and something that we've been on the forefront of. And then with, the Black Lives Matter movements and even Me Too movements, women were not addressed enough in tests. Different minorities have higher risks. The Black community and the Latin community have higher mortality rates in almost every type of cancer. Different communities are not having the same access to healthcare and are not educated about early screenings as much as other groups. So it's up to us to be in front of it, to look for which groups need the most support and help and education. And we're here to support everybody. So we want to end late stage diagnosis of cancer. How do we do that? We have to educate every group, regardless of culture, of race, religion, whatever it is, to try to get in front of them and say, here are the things you can do. Please get yourself checked. Please, if you have history in your family, if you have these risk factors, don't ignore that lump. Don't ignore that, mark on your skin. Don't just hope it away because you don't want to go, well, you don't want to know. The earlier you find anything, the quicker you can get help and support. And of course, it's not 100%, but we want to make sure everybody is given the tools to help themselves and empower themselves.
Wow.
And also to support those who are in a place where they have it and they're vulnerable. We want to support them at every stage.
That's excellent, I must say, and that's a very, very thoughtful approach towards the entire education thing, and kind of making people aware about the things and guiding them through the entire process. I think the way you have kept things organized, and how it can tremendously benefit and how it can help someone actually in need. Wow, that's very, very amazing. I'm so glad to know that you have think of every little detail and how it can make a big difference for the community.
And we use influencers. We do, the e-marketing. We do, we have Facebook fundraisers. We're an Amazon Smile if someone wants to select us. We try to be everywhere. And obviously in person was a huge part about what we did. And with COVID, we've had to adapt to, a different focus, obviously. And when we're able to, we hope to go back and do that, because in-person engagement is something that was obviously very valuable and was a huge part of it, but which we've had to do without for the past year. And with everybody's focus being on COVID, obviously raising money for other issues becomes secondary. But a lot of people aren't getting diagnosed because they're not going to the doctor. So we want to get e-medicine available to people so they can use apps to check and make sure, if you have skin cancer, if it's something external, that you can actually use e-medicine to at least help you gauge your risks, and then make sure that you're going to follow up with your doctor.
I think,
so we're doing our best to adapt to everything we can.
That's the best way. I mean, I think you're solving a very important problem by kind of building such a strong foundation of, so not just support, but the entire system where for every stage you have thought of everything. Like it's a part of your engagement strategy, I can say, and I think it can make a tremendous difference for people who need the support at the right point of time, and even early. I mean, no matter if they discovered about you, they need any help, any information. Wow, more power to your team and for all the work that you're doing. Excellent. Let me go to Stephen. Stephen, I think what Alisa and Lainie has touched upon is the most important aspects about how this entire cancer thing is kind of, I mean, as a healthcare, though it has grown so much, the cancer thing is kind of growing as well. And I think food is also an important aspect in that direction because of the entire food habits that have changed over the years. We can say junk food or everything that we are consuming on a day-to-day basis is kind of taking everyone in that direction somehow. So I think your brand is in a very niche space. And how have you found the adoption for your products? I mean, you already have a early adopter, your consumers. How are you planning to reach out more people, more consumers? What are your strategies?
Well, firstly, I want to say I think the T-shirt for a ticket is a great idea, and we've got a bunch of tickets we're trying to figure out what to do with. So that's a great idea. Thank you for that. So in answer to the questions, I think
we can talk after. I can give you lots of input.
yeah, brilliant idea. So I mean, prior to COVID, we saw about 50% in-home cooking and baking and making of food, producing of food, etc., and 50% out of home, restaurant, etc. And now we're seeing more like 80-20 shift, and that kind of was due to COVID. And so what we've seen is a lot of people are turning. The research shows that people are a little bit more concerned about their health now. It's been highlighted based on COVID, etc. And we're also seeing people turn to e-commerce, direct-to-home delivery, and grocery pickup. So the three areas of grocery purchase. We've seen an expedited process of the transference of grocery purchase from kind of in-store to online and direct to home and pickup. Predominantly, the pickup element of the business is where most of the grocery chains are focused on, because they've got the distribution points to be able to Amazon, which is really cool to see, because the likes of Walmart are using their 4,200 points of distribution as a kind of a storage unit, so people can actually kind of go and pick this product up on the way home from work, etc. So we've seen that process kind of expedited by about 5 years ago. We did about $30,000 in e-commerce sales. We're now doing about 30 million on e-commerce sales, and that equates to about 30% of our business, which is incredible. And we see it as a kind of Trojan horse opportunity, because what's happening is a lot of these major brands not focused on their listings and the bullet points and the descriptions and the images and the meta tags and the SEO, PPC, all that kind of stuff, and all of the nitty-gritty small stuff, because the internet only equated to 3 to 5% of grocery purchases prior to COVID. Now it represents almost 20. And so we were ready for that. We had the foundations in place. We had focused on that for many years. And now, as I said, we're number one bestseller in probably 20 different product categories. Mm-hmm. In terms of our marketing and how we communicate with our customer base, I'm a pretty simplistic guy in terms of, stripping back all the kind of marketing bullcrap that a lot of people kind of talk about in terms of, the communication journeys and touch points and all this kind of stuff. Essentially, marketing to me is about three things. It's about, you know, the market, the audiences, and how you're going to resonate and communicate with them. And then your message is essentially, you know, what over something else, and the method of TV or radio, whatever. And we've tested a lot of different methods, and we, you know, during the process of going online and through e-com directly to the customer on our website, and I think, you know, that's through Kroger, loyalty card, 8451. We have to, wherever possible, Amazon, customer.
Okay.
And so now we're looking at, because we can't compete with the likes of Amazon and Walmart in terms of price, because of the producing kind of monthly power hour and educate the customer on how to use the products in this month's subscription box. Our sales is going to actually give us a little bit of customer data back, which is what, again, we had sacrificed by going onto Amazon and Walmart, etc. But now we're at a little bit of a loss because we don't understand our customers as much as people who sell direct.
Absolutely. I think you need to find the balance between offline and the online world.
I don't know if that's answered your question.
It is actually. So you were, I mean, you got the advantage of like, because of the pandemic, like suddenly the entire shift has happened online and people want to consume the best products, keeping in mind to keep themselves healthy and fit. And I think that's very important. And I think what's now more important is, now that you have acquired all those many customers and garnered that much market share, how do you retain them? I mean, retention. How do you make sure that you don't lose out a single customer that you have acquired during this time, and the retention rate is the highest? So any thoughts on that? What are you planning to do to have the highest retention, Stephen? And yeah.
Oh, sorry. So, I mean, in many respects, we, you know, through social media and engagement and influencers, etc., we, you know, we're pushing recipe content and recipe books every single week. You know, we, as I said, we've got a commercial chef, we've got a commercial kitchen, we are doing 2 shoots a week. We're pushing out content as much as possible. So social media to me is all about consumption. It's about, you know, reiterating the message of, hey, you've made the right decision, increasing the frequency of usage occasions in terms of, hey, I might be able to use PB Fit in another smoothie recipe and a baking recipe and a Thai sauce, instead of just my Tuesday morning peanut butter shake. I now am encouraging people to use it on 3 times instead of once. Emails, which we're trying to keep top of mind awareness, engagement, etc. So when somebody goes to the shelf, even if a product is 50 cents cheaper than ours, they're still going to choose ours because we're the cooler brand, or we've engaged with them, or we sent them something valuable. We've added value to their life, essentially. And that's how I believe we kind of keep the engagement and keep the customer for longer, as opposed to just engaging with somebody because it's $1 cheaper than someone else.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's a great thought process. Amazing. Now let me go to Alisa. I've been on your store and I was surprised. I mean, your store is amazing. The aesthetics, the design, I think it's so appealing, and it allows a consumer to take a pause and look at all the products, and it's amazing. The presentation is amazing. I think your products are unique. How do you convey, like, unless and until people go through the description, how do they get to know that what you're offering is something that unique, that it has all those layers to keep yourself protected? So how do you convey that? What kind of messaging approach do you take to do that?
Sure. Well, in anywhere that as I said, we have two types of customers: people that come to us for sun protection first and bonus it's stylish, and then the people that come to us for the style first and then bonus it's sun protection. So the people that are coming to us for the style first are the people that we need to really allow to understand the benefits of sun protection and really want to help convert them into customers that way, but also educate them. The people that are coming to us for the sun protection first already know about it. And so there's a little bit less of an education that has to happen. We do have different pages throughout our website that talk about what makes clothing sun protective. I mean, I've been in the business for 15 years, but it's a very elementary question that is asked all the time. And, it's one of those things you have to take a step back, and the average lightweight t-shirt is the equivalent of putting SPF 5 on your body, which if you're being diligent about protecting yourself in the sun, you would not do that. You would want to be putting 30, 40, 50 on your body. And so those are things that, one, obviously during my Skin Cancer Awareness Month, we definitely talk about more and more. We work with dermatologists and different skin cancer foundations, Lainie, which I would love to talk to you about. Love hearing you speak about that throughout the year to provide an education. We want to be, obviously we sell clothing, but want to be a resource for people that are coming to us for the sun protection as well. So the 50 plus UV protection is kind of always put in everything we do. We talk about in blog post. We do have different logo applications that we do have on there. And so, yes, and we put signage in stores for the e-commerce. We really try to talk about it everywhere, but a lot of times it's about the content, not only on their shopping, but partnering with different thought leaders like dermatologists or skin cancer foundations or cancer foundations to really make sure that we're communicating that to the customer, because it is obviously something that's very near dear our heart, and want to make sure that they know that it's sun protective. There's a lot of different other attributes. It's packable, it doesn't wrinkle, all those things. We just don't know which one is going to be the reason that you buy it. The look of it sometimes alone, and customers don't have a very long time to make a decision when they're kind of on your website. But there are different ways that we lead. Sometimes we lead with the fashion, sometimes we lead with sun protection. I don't know if that helped answer the question, but.
Absolutely. So there are several USPs to your product, and you are kind of communicating that probably by displaying it properly, talking about it, or creating that awareness. Definitely, I think the attention span of every customer varies, and I think it's like you have that window of opportunity, and I think it can be conveyed either visually or through a message or an email campaign or awareness campaign. It can be anything. It can be in a social media ad or a Facebook ad, a Google ad that they see. It can be anything. So that's a great approach, I must say, because I think consumers, when they are doing online shopping, they are doing everything in 2 dimension. They are just looking everything in 2D. They cannot touch and feel it. So the only way we can make sure that they go ahead from the just checking the product to that final checkout is by making sure that they are getting the most appropriate, accurate information in the least possible time. They are able to find the product that they're looking for in the least possible time without searching, without too much browsing. And that's when consumers feel happy and the checkout happens smoothly. So that's a great approach. I really like that. My next question for all of you is around what platform are your stores are built on, and why you have chosen that platform. Are you on Magento, Shopify, WooCommerce? What platform are you currently running your online stores on? Lainie?
We have, I guess, mostly Shopify, but we have a company that we use that manufactures, kind of hosts our store that we work with directly, that does the fulfillment for us. But I've just recently, which we haven't really announced or launched, but I can just mention, we're working on a retail deal to be put into stores as well.
Uh-huh.
Physical locations that also have e-commerce sites. Because I think you need to know what you do and find the support when it's not your wheelhouse. I mean, we are not first a store.
Mm-hmm.
And so having a partner that we can work with that supports us in that. We do a lot of partnerships also with brands
Mm-hmm.
that have stores or want to do, either co-branded or want to support a cause with us that we work with. And so we'll promote their brand as they're promoting our brand. So like we'll do like a co-partnership or co-branded. We just did one, like I said, with Custom Ink, and we're doing another. I did one with Poodoos, which was one of Oprah's favorite things. They have like socks and hats and things, and they did a co-branded product with us. And so we'll both promote that to raise awareness and get information to both markets,
Mm-hmm.
and to educate their people. But we've worked with all different luxury brands. We did one with an influencer with a shoe company that we sold out in 24 hours because we had influencers post it, and the shoes were
Amazing.
adorable, and they had our name on the back, and they were so cute, and people just went crazy, and they ran out, and they're like, where can we get them? And they were like literally limited edition. So we had to see if they'll run more. So it just really depends. I mean, obviously we want to make sure that we have our standard, merchandise that we have on our store that we run all the time, but we like to keep it exciting and do partnerships with other brands and limited edition things so that people who already have our shirts or already have our things have something fun that they can do. It makes a good gift for someone, who's dealing with it, and someone who wants to support, and all the money, 100% of all the money that we raise is going to the cause. So
Wonderful.
it's a little different, obviously, with what Elisa's trying to do. She has to, obviously it's a profitable business, but we're trying to have all the money be going to the cause. So we have to worry about, making sure that if we partner with somebody that we're raising the money that we need to raise, and we're not spending it all on product, which of course
Gotcha.
everybody has to do. But we have donors to answer to, and we're trying to make sure that we're doing right by them and that we're fulfilling both sides of that. And so sometimes brands will donate to us. Like if we're doing an event, like we mentioned, the tickets, I will reach out sometimes to companies, and they may donate the shirts for that event and
Mm-hmm.
get them printed. And so that way we can now have all that money go to the cause. I mean, we can't do that every time, but it's something we're always looking at from a cost, ROI and a cost perspective, and
Gotcha. Yeah.
so we're doing our due diligence for our people, our donors, and everyone who gives us money. We want to make sure we're good stewards of that.
Wonderful, wonderful. So Shopify as well as strategic partnership with offline store. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. How about you, Stephen? What platform are you currently on? Shopify or Magento?
Sorry, WooCommerce. We don't, as I say, we don't say anything on our website at the moment, but when we do, it'll be through WooCommerce.
Okay, WooCommerce. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you currently do not do like sales online. I mean, like the
No.
e-commerce sales is not there. Okay, gotcha. Okay, amazing. How about you,
We-
Alyssa? Is it Shopify, Magento?
Yep. We're on Shopify, which has worked really well for us. We are probably launching anywhere from, 5 to 10 new features on our website every year as e-commerce evolves. We do, whether it's a shipping component, whether it's a, kind of merchandising component, there's always different things, a fit tool. So the ability to add those types of products onto our website through an app has been great.
Great. My next question, Alyssa, for you is around like you have been running your store for the last 15 years, and it's a huge time frame, I must say. And you have a huge, you have a huge historical data. How do you understand your consumer behavior from the data? Have you given any thought to kind of taking that data-driven approach? Definitely, you might be looking at analytics, but do you deep dive into to identify those? Where are the areas of opportunities which are untapped, for example, in the consumer behavior space, or maybe in your inventory itself? That okay, this particular gets sold out fast, whereas these products are always kind of taking a long time to get their attention. Anything in particular that from your experience so far?
Sure. Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. There's so much data to dive into. It could take years, and we try to skim the surface on it. But we do, I mean, right now, we really use a lot of it from consumer behavior to dictate kind of inventory flow, ordering, what we'll release next season, what colors, what styles. There's a ton of that. And then we also do surveys to help decide what it is. Inventory is one of those things, especially in fashion. It's a delicate game, and making sure that you get that right is definitely a big thing.
Yeah, so you're looking into that aspect, but you haven't kind of deep dived too much. But I think there are areas, I mean, because we have been working in this field of data, and we realized at the end of the day, for your business, your consumers and your products are the two important pillars. And all thing products, I mean, definitely, and even products are evolving, but the consumer behavior is constantly evolving. It keeps on changing. uh, your old customers, new customers keeps on coming. So you have to constantly figure out what works and what doesn't, and whatever is working, you need to kind of accelerate, put it on full throttle, give more heat to it. But something which is not working, I think those areas, like either a product or a marketing strategy which is not working, they can be easily improved. And with little improvements, there can be like 2x, 3x improvement in overall revenue. That's what we observed. And in the entire e-commerce space or the retail space, that we observe that consumers are eccentric. I mean, everyone is looking for something, and when they reach a store, they want everything to be found quickly. They want the whole process to be smooth. A little friction, and you lose a consumer there. And knowing all these things in advance, maybe by deep diving. So we use AI for doing that, and we'll talk about it maybe at a later point. But why I was interested in knowing that, because I think 15 years of historical data is huge, and you can get amazing insights that will help you in accelerating your convergence, and ultimately to help your consumers and serve them better. So that's one point that I wanted to bring it here. Nonetheless, like, we are coming to an end of this panel. So my last question for all of you is around, what is that one piece of advice that you would like to give to someone, maybe within your own connections or your peers, existing entrepreneurs, that they can implement? Some little piece of advice that has helped you in scaling up your business. Um, what would that be? From from the so many advices that you would like to give, what is that one advice that you would like to give? Let me go to Stephen to begin with this time.
My recommendation to anyone would be keep it simple. That doesn't need to be complicated. I think we try to, I've done it, and I think that keeping things simple in terms of stripping down to the basics, in terms of who's your target audience, what's the message, what's the method, test and learn, and make some mistakes along the way. That's the kind of best advice I could give anybody.
Excellent advice. Amazing. Thank you, Stephen. Lainie, one piece of advice from your end?
To kind of piggyback on what Stephen said, in being able to do what he said, you have to listen. I think listening to your audience, data, which you kind of touched on, is huge. And I think starting your data and your awareness of your customer from the beginning is really important, to understand who you're talking to, what it is that they want, and to target everything you do towards that. Because if you're not connected to your audience, and it doesn't matter if you're doing AI, if you're doing e-commerce, it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you don't know who you're talking to and what they want, what they're looking for, and how to reach them, you're going to have a disconnect. So the best thing I can say is investigate your data, however you get that data, and really be aware of it. And most of us have multiple markets, different demographics. It's not usually one person that we're really trying to reach, which I think, historically advertising has really tried to focus on like 18 to 30, or we're trying to get this market, or we're trying to get teens, or we're, and they've been so specific. But I think this generation's, younger than the baby boomers, it's just a different way of doing business. I mean, there's people in their 40s who are super, digitally savvy and online, and teenagers who are completely different, the way they buy things and the way they market and the way they, use YouTube videos to purchase things. And I mean, it's a different way of doing business. So I think you really have to know your different marketplaces and your different audience members and how they want to be spoken to and how to reach those people.
That's amazing. Excellent advice, Lainie. Thank you. Alisa, one piece of advice from your end. Go ahead.
I think the willingness to be a forever student and learner, especially in e-commerce, it is constantly evolving. And, nobody knows everything about e-commerce, but if you know enough, you'll be, you can hire the right people and the right partners. And it's just, I think it's amazing to always be learning, but being open and willing to learn everything and pivot accordingly.
Excellent, excellent. I must say this has been an excellent panel discussion today, and all of you have been fabulous. You shared everything that can inspire a lot of businesses out there, and all of you have a very, very strong purpose, and which is going to play a pivotal role in taking your business to new heights. And I think the advices that you have given, what Stephen has mentioned, keeping it simple and constantly learning, making mistakes, but constantly evolving, and how it can make a tremendous difference in making your business to achieve great heights. What Lainie has touched upon: know your customer, know your data, introspect, figure it out, and anything you can do great things with your brand. And what Alisa has mentioned about being inquisitive, being a lifelong learner, and how it can make tremendous difference in scaling up your business. With this, I'm really would like to say thank you to all of you for joining us on this panel today. We would love to host you again in our future panel, maybe on some other topic. So Lainie, thank you so much for taking out time today. Thank you, Stephen, for taking out time today and joining on the panel. Thank you, Alisa. Always a pleasure to talk to you. And we look forward. I'll be connecting with you soon, maybe sometime in the next week, and we can take the conversation forward. Right. Wonderful. Thank you so much, all of you.
Would you share everyone's contact? I'd like to, keep in touch with the other panelists over. I would love to talk.
Absolutely. Lainie. I'm gonna send out a combined email for all of us. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all. It was so great meeting all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you as well.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.